Why?
I don't know.
Well, Steve Young begins the second quarter with a pass to Jerry Rice up to the 50-yard line.
I thought you would know. I have no idea.
I know nothing.
You know nothing. You've been here for how long? This is 12 years you guys been here?
Who called you Boomay?
You know what? It might be a bad word. I have no idea.
Are you mean like Boomer A and Boomer B?
No,
or just
I guess I think they dropped the ER and put AUI on it.
A Booma. Oh, AH.
Or something. Booma. That's the Long Island version.
Well, the one thing they're sure of is you're not a local.
Right. Third and 4. And Young throws, and that floats incomplete, intended for Chris Carter, who says, keep doing me those favors as I get double coverage and bracketed. That's Ed McCaffrey, the Denver Bronco, one of 8 Broncos in today's game.
You know, in his first Pro Bowl, I talked to him before the game, and boy, he was ecstatic about being here. And really, you know, Rod Smith could have came, and when you look at the Jets with Keyshawn Johnson here, Wayne Corbett could have made it. And there were so many good wide receivers in the AFC this year.
Matt Turk's third punt. Bounces at the 7-yard line and then hits the pylon. And since it hits the pylon, which is in the end zone, it's a touchback.
And pretty good illustration of it hitting the pylon. It knocked it over.
Yes, it did. Little doubt about that one. Dick Hantak is the referee. His crew working the game. They'll move it to the 20-yard line. We'll be back in a moment. Took it to Hawaii. And in fact, Orlando tried to entice the NFL to send the game there a few years ago. Eddie George for a gain of 4, but the resistance was met by the Hawaiian forces. They were able to keep the game here. And that's why I think the attendance rate through the years here has been a heck of a lot better than it would have been.
I think I made 4 or 5 Pro Bowls with Fran Tarkenton and never saw him once.
Right. Tark, notorious. The only time Tark showed up for the Pro Bowl, he announced it.
I think you're right.
Oh, this is great.
Jerry Tarkanian's been to more Pro Bowls than Fran Tarkenton.
2nd down and 6 from the 24-yard line. Vinny Testaverde sends it back to Eddie George. Swing over the outside, seeking the first down, and has it up past the 30-yard line to move the chains.
Now, the city really embraces this, though. I mean, everywhere we've been this week, I mean, people are talking about it. They're into it. I mean, the stadium is sold out. You can't get tickets around here. I mean, this is the right place for it. There's a real good feel for it. And a lot of the guys do like coming here. And we'll spend an extra week in the islands after this game is over.
Right.
No, you're exactly right. The NFL has done a nice job of making it kind of like an old home week for everybody involved. But let's face it, as a player, you dream when you come into the National Football League, would I ever be good enough to make a Pro Bowl? And the first one, the memories last the rest of your life.
And Eddie George squirts through a lot of traffic.
Well, I had a memory out here. I remember Dexter Manley sending me into the front row of the seats. And me saying to him, well, what are you doing? And he said, well, all your offensive linemen are out by the pool this week, so I just figured, you know, they want to know I'm ready to play. I'm ready to play.
You might be the only quarterback in the history of football that really expected an explanation from Dexter Manley. Did he apologize?
No, not at all. That's the other thing that really ticked me off.
2nd down and 7. And this is Marshall Faulk. You know, Dan Fouts, we can open up Dan's mind. We were talking about quarterbacks getting sacked in this game and the rate of sacks being higher in this game than in regular season games. And Dan, what was your theory from yesterday that we were talking about?
Because offensive linemen are picked for this game, Al, because they usually block for 1,000-yard rushers. Well, defensive linemen are picked for this game because they usually have a bunch of sacks. That doesn't quite work sometimes for the quarterback.
I like that theory.
What is it about the quarterback position that makes them chronic complainers? I don't understand it.
3rd down and 3, and that's caught by Keyshawn Johnson, who gets decked, but he picks up the first down up at the 49, tackled by Ray Buchanan.
You know, Al, quarterbacks wear shoulder pads and helmets just like everybody else out here on the field. Yet all they do is complain about getting hit. They whine when they get knocked down. I've never, ever heard a group of guys collectively complain like quarterbacks.
Dan Fouts, are you hearing this?
Maybe they don't make enough money. What do you think?
I don't know. Dan Fouts, this is what I've had to deal with all year long. This is unbelievable.
Well, we'll fix that.
1st and 10 at the 49-yard line. And it's going to be the halfback pass maybe, but instead Marshall Faulk goes down in a heap for a 6-yard loss. So Faulk looking downfield, but Winfred Tubbs and Kevin Green as Bill Belichick's team tries to maintain its 4-point advantage.
Bill told us that this might happen, and he said the only guy that could really throw the ball back there was Marshall Faulk, but Marshall decided to be cautious and take the sack. The right thing to do, I guess.
2nd and 16. We talked about Bill Parcells would have coached this game. His Jet staff is here, but the doctor's feeling it would be better for Bill to just rest after the arduous season. So Belichick gets the assignment. Eddie George in the meantime with some pretty nifty running all the way to the 33-yard line. Beautiful run by Eddie George.
Take that, Jamal Anderson. You're not the only back here that can make people miss. It's so deceptive when you look at Eddie George, Boomer. He's so tall. You know, the guy's 6'3" and runs tall. He's not a low-to-the-ground runner, and yet he still makes people bounce off him, makes people miss.
A lot like Eric Dickerson, one of the enshrinees.
Good point.
You know, he's that type of player. He's a full-out back. He can play third down, you know, the whole time. You don't ever have to take him off the field, and he is a terrific football player in a division where that team could really make some noise next year.
23-yard gain, and now Curtis Martin who came up here over here about 48 hours ago. Gains 1. Let's go to Leslie Visser. Leslie.
Al, it was in vogue this year to be an experienced quarterback, and no one had a better year than this guy, Steve Young. Steve, are you playing the best ever?
Oh, I don't know about that. We have a good team, great offense, and I had a fun year just throwing the ball up and letting those guys go get it and staying healthy. And, you know, you get older, you get smarter, too. That's the one good thing about getting older. So I'm a much smarter player, and it's fun to play football when you're smarter.
What do you think the effect will be of having Bill Walsh back at home?
Well, he's a powerful personality, a guy that personally, you know, he's kind of my football father. You know, he's the one that brought me up and taught me everything, and so in that way it's great for me, but as well for the organization. We need that stability, that powerful personality. We look to him to really give that stability upstairs.
We had a wonderful year. Thanks, Steve. Back to you guys.
Thank you. Sam Gash made the last reception. You know, you look at Steve Young, and so many quarterbacks talking about retiring, and in fact Randall Cunningham did and then came back. Young, 37 years old, but Steve is the kind of guy who looks like he can play pretty much into his early 40s.
As long as he doesn't suffer a severe injury, he can. And the one thing about all of these quarterbacks here, they are in what I call their twilight prime. And you heard Steve Young say it.
Here's Keyshawn Johnson making the catch for a first down.
It's about playing football at a level within your own mind, playing smart football and understanding what you're doing, and then being surrounded by other good players.
Well, you look at the first thing when you zero in on a quarterback, their touchdown to interception ratio, and some guys, when they're just getting started, if you can just get them to balance them, as many touchdowns as they have interceptions, then you'll see a veteran. And when he moves into that 2-to-1 category, you're saying, hey, here's a guy that's really arrived. Last year, Steve Young, 36 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 3-to-1,
and over 4,000 yards passing.
And they run a reverse as the ball is handed to Jermaine Lewis, who comes to the near side and is tackled at the 17-yard line. I think one of the things about Steve Young too is, you know, you look at him and he's very effusive and gregarious and well-spoken and all of the rest. I think you lose sight sometimes of the unbelievable competitive nature of this man. If you've ever seen some of those NFL films, situations where they mic the coaches and mic the players, if they lead 37-0, he is angry that he's taken out of the game.
And Al, you notice that he doesn't whine or complain when he gets knocked down either.
Oh, please.
2nd and 9. Testaverde throws, and that's caught by Keyshawn. So he goes to his main man again. 1st and goal.
You know, but each of these quarterbacks in today's game, and especially Randall Cunningham, I think is the epitome of it. When you see it, he looks so relaxed in the pocket and has a feel for the game now and understands where all his receivers are going to be. And you know, and the young receivers that are coming into the league like Keyshawn here and Randy Moss, guys like Vinny Testaverde and Randall Cunningham are benefiting from the greatness that they bring in. Let's go. But Randall, he's the one that is, to me, has come full circle.
6.5 to go in the half, and on 1st and goal, this is Eddie George, who's taken down behind the line of scrimmage. The tackle is made there by Hardy Neckerson. When we're talking about Hardy before, here's a guy who had the heart ailment in the middle of the season. That was a big scare.
Pericarditis he had, which was an infection of the lining around his heart, and he's in this game because Eddie McDaniel of the Vikings injured and couldn't play. But what a nice send-off into the offseason this has to be for Hardy Nickerson to get ready for next year.
2nd and goal from the 11-yard line. And then he throws. It's batted in the air, and it winds up in the arms of Marshall Faulk. After all that, Deion Sanders and Eric Moulds with the initial batting of the ball, and then Faulk winds up with the reception.
That ball touched at least 3 different people, I think, before it ended up in Marshall Faulk's hands.
Marshall looked like he was going up for a rebound. You see him snatch that thing?
Looked like the immaculate reception. Moulds and Sanders.
Ow.
Tipped again.
Actually, that ball was batted back up into the air by Marshall Faulk. He tipped it once and then caught it.
3rd and goal. 15th play is a fade, and that is incomplete. And no flag. Keyshawn Johnson covered by Aeneas Williams.
And I think Aeneas Williams came down a little funny on his leg there. I don't know if he turned an ankle or whatever, but he landed awkwardly.
You know, really, when you try to throw these balls here, you want to throw them short and high to give your receiver a chance to make a play. Looks like Aeneas might have twisted his left ankle.
Yeah, he really threw his left leg out in front of him.
There.
Yes. I don't know his ankle or his knee or whatever, but both his ankle and his knee were flexed outward a little bit.
I think if you're an Arizona Cardinal coach, owner, player right now, you just hope that it's not serious.
Well, we'll put names to those people, Vince Tobin and Bill Bidwell.
Position will penalize half the distance to the number 56. Will penalize half the distance to the goal line. 1st down.
Oh, somebody broke the rules.
He did. Remember, it's supposed to be a 4-3, and Hardy Nickerson.
Well, we saw Nickerson make a play in the backfield 2 snaps ago.
You know, the Cardinals now are an up-and-coming team, Dan, with Jake Plummer leading the way, and it all starts on defense with Aeneas Williams, with Eric Swan, and Simeon Rice, and Andre Wadsworth. I mean, they have a bunch of guys. Jameer Miller. They could be one of the real top young defenses in the league next year.
Speaking of injured players, if you're Bob Kraft and Pete Carroll of the New England Patriots, and your man Robert Edwards dislocates his kneecap and suffers ligament damage on the beach the other day in a made-for-television event.
But you know, you
can't be too happy.
No. The thing about that is putting professional athletes in competitive positions and expecting them to pull off for one another is not going to happen.
1st and goal. Eddie George to the 3-yard line. It'll be 2nd and goal.
You know, if I'm playing golf against you, Dan, you know how competitive it gets and how ornery you are after I beat you every time we play. But the fact of the matter is when you put players in competitive positions like that, you know, they're going to go full bore. I mean, I don't care if it's ping pong or it's beach football or beach volleyball.
You're exactly right. It's anything that requires some physical aspect to it, jumping, running, or whatever. They don't know any other way to do it.
2nd down and goal from the 4-yard line.
And you're such a humble winner.
Eddie George tackled at the line of scrimmage. That's Winfred Tubbs. By the way, we're talking about no blitzing. The rules actually state inside the 5-yard line you can blitz, but it has to come from the outside linebacker, not a cornerback.
Yeah, it's a 2. In other words, you're allowed to get upfield. Now, to defend the run is the reason, but if it happens to be a pass play and you are there, what the heck?
Well, that would be my question right here. With the passing offense coming in, are you still allowed to rush the linebackers on the outside?
I believe you are if you're inside the 5.
All right, here it is right now.
Besides, the rules get thrown out after a little bit here.
Yeah, that's exactly.
3rd down and goal. And going for Johnson again, reaches up and can't make the play. Coverage by Ray Buchanan.
If I'm a wide receiver and I want to get up and argue about whether it's a touchdown or not, it helps to be holding the football.
Right. I understand. I guess he thought he had possession of it, and then Ray Buchanan actually knocked it out. But this is the type of throw that you want to allow a Keyshawn Johnson or a Randy Moss to go up and make a play on. And he just goes out there and tries to use his height. And Ray Buchanan does a really nice job of keeping his arm in there and getting the ball out of there. Good throw, good play, and
no, that's a good call by the official.
Absolutely.
You must come down and hit the ground with both feet, demonstrate that you have possession.
Elam, 23-yard field goal attempt. That was the 19th play of the drive.